Alright, so I just got done watching Contracted 2. I am the end. Find my notes, because I did take a lot of notes. I actually looked into this a little bit more after I got done watching the movies so that I could actually, know what I'm talking about. Alright, it was made in 2015. It's not rated. It's an hour and 18 minutes long. Stars are Matt Mercer, Mariana Palka, and Morgan Peter Brown, and it is directed by Josh Forbes. It says Riley battles the gruesome symptoms of the mysterious zombie virus he contracted from Samantha as he searches for the man who infected her. Alright, so like I said, I made a lot of notes for this one. Especially because, there was a certain amount of differences in this one. The main one being that the person who got infected first in this was a man. I did make a note of, like, the symptoms and, as they appear. So, we'll go through that real fast. Constantly cold. He had pus coming out of the claw marks on his back, and it was pretty gruesome when I guess he went into his brother-in-law, who's a doctor, to get a blood test to make sure he didn't have like AIDS or anything like that. And he found one of her fingernails in his back, so fantastic. There's ringing in the ears, like really loud. He had a massive bloody nose. Like, it was just dripping everywhere. It got into some cheese dip, which was just gross. And then he goes to the bathroom to clean it up, and he sneezes, and there's just blood all over the smear. So that was kind of cool. There's the scratches and everything itch, like, intensely. Disorientation. And then he started vomiting blood. He got really, really pale. His one of his eyes turned red. Then he started peeing blood. He looks all over himself, and he's got like infected pustules and these weird little like raised lines on his skin. His teeth started falling out. And then eventually you can see like the black veins. And his first iris turned red. And then the second turned gray and white. And then the first one actually went completely yellow. Like the entire eye. And those lumps under the lumps under his skin that I was telling you about, yeah. There were maggots under his skin, so he cut those out with a box cutter and sewed himself up with a sewing kit. I have a couple of questions as far as this movie goes. He was the first one that was infected, but he accidentally infects a number of other people, and one of those people is his grandmother that he lives with. My question is it's like day 1, maybe 2, but she turns first. So why did that happen? I mean, yes, she's older, but she was in overall good health. The nurse who cared for his grandmother got infected because she kissed him, and her symptoms showed up really quickly, like next day, just from a kiss. Started vomiting blood, her eyes got red, and then she looked at him again, and one of them was yellow. Well, the one that was yellow, she went to go take her contacts out, and she pulled her entire eye out. So that was pretty cool to watch. However, when they pulled the eye out, it was pretty much the eyeball, and it had maybe an inch, less than an inch, of the ocular nerve. And it just popped out like nobody's business. So, there would have been like dangling out or something. The drug dealer from the first one he never got infected. And he knows the patient X, you know, BJ, the dude who's spreading this disease. But going back to Riley, he ends up having 2 yellow irises, and there's no red in his entire eye at all. Which I thought was interesting because, yes, the irises did change color in the first movie, but his irises changed color without the bloodshotness. Second question. Everybody else who gets infected by Riley is affected much faster. So what is it about him that just makes it, you know, progress in him slower? And why are these people reacting so quickly? Has the virus mutated or what? You know, it's really hard to tell. Because, you know, they had the 3-day period in the first one, but it's going from like a 3-day period to a 1-day period. Okay, closer to the end. Anyway, you actually see a lot more of BJ, Patient X, in the second one than the first one. You see kind of what he's doing, but you hear him recording himself, and he says something about Abaddon. And I looked it up, and Abaddon has a couple of different translations. It's found in the Hebrew Bible, and it means bottomless pit. And it's usually in association with the land of the dead. In the New Testament book of Revelations, Abaddon is an angel described as the king of locusts. And in Latin, it is, it means destroyer. So that was kind of interesting. Anyway, back to when he had a nosebleed. So he's, like I was telling you, his nose bled into this bowl of cheese dip. Well, his sister, his pregnant sister, by the way, ends up eating a chip with this cheese on there. And there's like they look down right after she has scooped it up, and there's like a massive amount of blood. How do you not notice that? That's disgusting. How do you not notice that? I don't know. It's just kind of stupid. Now, after Riley gets his test results back from his brother-in-law, he was cleared for all STDs, but of course, his brother-in-law mentions something about like what Sarah had. And he doesn't know all the details, but it's some kind of necrotic STD. And I looked that up. And the first thing that popped up was the necrophiliac's gift. And that's a Norwegian urban legend. Basically, the fullest story that I could get as far as that goes is boy dumps girl goes to a bar, picks up a stranger, goes home and sleeps with them, and a couple of days later she's not feeling well, so she goes to the doctor. The first doctor gives her a concerned look, sends her to a specialist. The specialist runs some tests and stuff, and he looks kind of worried, but tells her that her results will be back in 2 weeks. And a couple of days after she went to go see the specialist, the cops come to her house. And they started asking her questions and stuff, and she asked them why. and they told her that they have to investigate anybody that has corpse worm. The scientific term is myiasis of the vagina. So there's a fun fact for you. And supposedly, if somebody has sex with a dead person, those larvae or whatever can, well, pretty much the only person that can have sex with a dead person is a man, because you can't exactly get it up on a dead man. Just saying. Anyway, basically it's what happens when somebody has sex with a dead person and then they go and have sex with a living person. And somehow they grow, and then you have maggots. So that, you know, seeing that connection between the movie and the urban legend, that was pretty cool. I mean, they went a little bit further with it than just, you know, maggots, but you know, I like the fact that in the first one that was like one of the first things that you see. Because in the first one, you know, she's bleeding, and then she's trying to take care of her rash, and boom, there's a maggot. You know, she doesn't see it, of course, but you know, they went a little bit kind of accurate as far as that urban legend goes. So yeah. Let's see what else. Now, closer to the end of the movie, Riley and the other girl end up in the hospital. And, of course, BJ smuggles himself in pretending to be a doctor. And this is one of the things that I'm not entirely sure what's going on, because he's got this really weird looking machine gun, and then he's got a bomb or something strapped to his chest. He goes out and he kind of, like, after a little bit, massacres everyone. Pretty much the only person that's still alive that was standing in the lobby is the detective. And then, of course, Riley manages to get himself out of bed, and he just starts wailing on this guy. Now, they fight for a little bit, and, you know, inevitably one of them dies. Here's my question. Okay, so this BJ, or Patient X, or whatever you want to call him, he pretty much engineered this virus. So, yeah, I mean, he was experimenting with it pretty much by going after prostitutes and whatever, but my question is, you know that they're infected. You know that once they die, they come back as zombies. So why would you kill the guy that's infected? Because you know he's just gonna come back, right? So that's one thing I just thought was kind of... It was literally like a countdown. He kills the guy, turns to the detective, and is like, you know, points the gun at her. She's crying, and it was literally 1, 2, 3, boom, there's Riley as a zombie chewing on your ass. And of course, you know, he's zombified, but, you know, the detective has to shoot him. But there's like a memory flashback of everything that's happened for Riley. And, you know, whatever this virus is, somehow Patient X is immune to, like, the side effects. So, I don't know. I honestly thought that when Riley bit him and killed him, like, something in his blood was going to cure him. I don't know. I thought that that'd be pretty cool. But it didn't. And, of course, the detective had to shoot him. What I liked most about the movie was at the end, you finally get to see what happens to his sister. Remember the pregnant one who ate the blood cheese chip thing? Yeah, you finally get to see what happens to her. This is the most confusing part about it. Before I tell you what's... obviously, she's eaten this blood, so she's going to get infected. It's inevitable. But, like, the day after she did that, Riley walks in on her and her husband having sex. So, another question. If she's infected, and they did that, why is the husband not affected? Because the husband is the one who finds his wife. But, yeah, anyway, yeah, this is another thing. When they went to her, you get to see her all zombied out and everything, but I think that the kind of the freakiest part was, like I said, she was pregnant. And when he sees his wife infected, it like zooms down on her stomach, because she's like 8.5 months pregnant. It zooms down on her stomach, and all you see is it literally looks like the baby's trying to elbow their way out. So, you know, what goes to mother goes to baby, so mommy's infected. Great, now you have a zombie baby. Well, like I said, this movie was made in 2015, so hopefully, I mean, I'm kind of hoping for another one. Something that shows, like, the zombie baby and stuff, because that'd be pretty cool. And the detective. This is another thing that I've noticed about the two movies. The first one, everybody's pretty much just American, I guess. But the girlfriend in the first one, Nikki, I can't quite pinpoint it. She's either English or something along those lines. But the detective in the second one, she is Scottish. So I don't know if they're trying to add that little bit of diversity as far as their characters, and why they only did it with one. I don't know if there's some significance about that, but if they make a third one, you know, it'd be cool to see, like, the zombie baby, what happens, do they find a cure, you know, what happens. And it'd be cool to see that detective again, because she was pretty badass. I mean, in the whole shooting scene, everybody got like 10 bullets in them. She got hit in the upper left leg, right by the artery, but she was still kicking, so she's kind of badass. Be cool to see if she survives. So yeah, there's a lot to process with this one, but overall it's a pretty good movie. I liked it more than the first one, simply because it was, I don't know, the characters were more motivated. The doctor like twice, but she wasn't like, there's something seriously wrong with me, figure it the fuck out. She didn't want to go to the cops or anything like this, whereas in the second one, yes, of course he didn't want to go to the cops, and he didn't, well, he kind of did go to the cops because he was talking to the detective, but he didn't really want to go to the quarantine zone for people who were sick, and it was for good reason. He was trying to find the guy because he wanted to fuck him up. So, you know, there wasn't really a letdown with that. There was a lot of moments in the movie where you're like, God, I hope this person makes it. And, you know, it also raised a lot of questions as far as everything goes. So, I really hope they make another one, because it was just an enjoyable movie overall. Alright, if you've seen the movie and you have a different opinion, there's something I missed. You know, it's always the smaller things that are the worst, like, well, the maggots mostly. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video.